Today we'll be reading Job 30 through 31. After we finish, we'll discuss some important questions. Does God refuse to answer a helpless person's cry? Is it okay to swear an oath against ourselves? At the end of our discussion, we'll also provide a summary for each chapter to help reinforce what we've learned.
Chapter 30.
But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And now am I their song, yea, I am their byword. They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. Because he hath loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise the youth. They push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forward my calamity, they have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me, they pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. Now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. By the great force of my disease is my garment changed. It bindeth me about as the collar of my coat. He hath cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust and ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind. Thou causest me to ride upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me, and when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My harp also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep.
Job chapter 31.
I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Doth not he see my ways, and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot hath hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity. If my step hath turned out of the way, and mine heart walked after mine eyes, and if any blot hath cleaved to mine hands, Then let me sow, and let another eat. Yea, let my offspring be rooted out. If mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is an heinous crime. Yea, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase. If I did despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God riseth up, and when he visiteth? What shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless hath not eaten thereof. For from my youth he was brought up with me as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let mine arm fall from my shoulder blade, and mine arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, Thou art my confidence, if I rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because mine hand had gotten much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above. If I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If the men of my tabernacle said not, Oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me that I kept silence, and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me! Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulder, and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps. As a prince would I go near unto him. If my land cry against me, or that the furrows likewise thereof complain, if I have eaten the fruits thereof without money, or have caused the owners thereof to lose their life, let thistles grow instead of wheat, and cockle instead of barley.
The words of Job are ended.
Does God refuse to answer a helpless person's cry? Job was not the only person to feel that God does not answer prayer. Psalms 22 verse 2. But God does not ignore the cries of the afflicted. Psalms 9 verse 12. He does hear, and will answer. As Job discovered later, God's answer was wait. God's timing is different than ours, and often when we think he is saying no, he is saying not yet. Is it okay to swear an oath against ourselves? Through this entire chapter, Job called down great harm on himself, broken arms, farm calamities, even death if he had sinned. Should we follow his example? The answer can be found if we understand something of Job's society. In Job's era, they did not have lie detector tests or contracts written in triplicate. The only way they could prove their innocence was to swear an oath. Thus, oath-taking was permitted, and even God was said to swear oaths. Deuteronomy 7 verse 8. But the Old Testament strictly warns against abusing oaths, since some people said, I swear by God when they weren't telling the truth. God warned not to swear falsely by his name. Leviticus 19 verse 12. Other passages warn people to either fulfill the vows they make or not make vows at all. Ecclesiastes 5 verse 4 to 6. In the New Testament, Jesus raised the stakes. We should live lives of such integrity that we shouldn't have to use oaths to prove our truthfulness. Instead, we should be able to simply say yes or no and leave it at that. Following these passages, some Christians refuse to take oaths in court. Other Christians permit such oaths, as long as their statements are truthful. Today, there's no reason to call down harm upon ourselves in order to prove we're telling the truth. Is fear of punishment a good motivator? While love for God is a powerful enticement to live a godly life, so is the sobering truth that God is a holy and just God, who does not leave sin unpunished. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Galatians 6 verse 7. It is better to do good out of fear than not to do it at all, though ideally one's motivation should be positive. Summary of Job 30 through 31. In Job 30, Job contrasts his former honor with his present humiliation. Those who once respected him now mock and despise him. His physical suffering is intense, and he feels that God has turned against him. Job cries out in pain, feeling unheard and overwhelmed, yet he continues to bring his anguish honestly before God. In Job 31, Job delivers his final defense, presenting a series of solemn vows in which he denies specific sins such as lust, deceit, injustice, greed, idolatry, and lack of compassion. He calls on God to judge him if he is guilty, firmly asserting his moral integrity. Job ends by longing for God to respond, sealing his case with confidence that he has lived righteously. Overall, these chapters mark the climax of Job's self-defense, showing his deep suffering alongside his unwavering commitment to integrity and truth before God. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace.